Thank you, Jan. Thank you especially for putting together such a great event. My name is Thomas Grigoleit. Together with my colleague Christina Schön, we're from Germany Trade and Invest. And we're here to speak in the next minutes about investment opportunities in the field of clean tech. We focus on energy, especially on the Energiewende in Germany we're working on right now. And in the second part of the presentation, we'll also try to explain you what kind of role Germany Trade and Invest as a partner can play for you when you expand into the German market. But first things first, for me as a German being here in England, of course I need to speak about football. And we came a long way actually. So in the year of 2000, Germany played the Euro Cup, and we played in the first match 1-1 against Romania. We lost against England. That was really hurt. That hurt really a lot, and we lost against Portugal. So after 3 matches, we were kicked out of the tournament, having scored one single goal, and that led to a football revolution in Germany. So we rebuilt our complete football infrastructure. We added a lot of youth support clubs, where basically younger players were educated to play sophisticated way of football. Well, the rest is history. So that was a long way. Why do I talk about that? Well, it's of course nice to talk about it, but there's another reason why I talk about it. It's actually that we also started in the year of 2000 with another revolution in the field of energy. We started with the feed-in tariff, the introduction of the renewable energy law, and that feed-in tariff, which was part of the renewable energy law, made basically the investment into renewable energies financially attractive, not just for large corporates, but for everyone. For me, for my parents, for my friends, we all could invest into solar, into wind, into bioenergy projects, and could actually make money with that. And that started very slow and small, with a couple of thousand systems being installed in the first year. But then you can actually see that this revolution gained really momentum. After 5 years, we had already installed more than 200,000 systems. Another 5 years later, 750,000 systems. Another 2 years later, we even hit the million, and we have now more than 1.3 million renewable energy projects being installed in Germany. So that revolution really was successful. And as every revolution which is a success, you receive a constitution. And the constitution of our energy revolution is the energy concept, the Energiewende. We try to also export into the English language now. And the goal of the Energiewende basically is to cut down CO2 emissions in Germany by 80% compared to 1990 standards by the year of 2050. And of course, we still want to remain an industrialized country. And to fulfill that goal, to realize that goal, we have to achieve many other goals, like, for example, increase the share of renewable energies in the overall energy mix up to 60%, in the field of electricity even up to 80%. Of course, energy efficiency will also play a major role here. So there's many areas we have to work on to realize the big goal we have set here. Where will electricity be coming from in the future? It will not be nuclear power. We have also decided to phase out nuclear, and not just in the next 20 years, actually in the next 8 years. So in 8 years' time, we have taken off all nuclear power plants in Germany off the grid. And most of the electricity then in the future will come from renewable energies. And what kind of sources do we have? We have wind and solar. So we have already now, we see a lot of investment potential in the field of wind, offshore wind, onshore wind, repowering, also establishing new wind turbines for areas with lower wind speeds. And there's photovoltaic. Photovoltaic has been always quite special to Germany, and Germany always has been quite special to photovoltaic. We have been by far the world's largest PV market in the last years. This has changed. Now we actually have just a medium-sized market volume. China is by far larger than Germany, for example. Thank you very much. But we're still a very unique market. Why are we unique? Because we have very low system costs. The system cost for solar in Germany is by far worldwide the lowest. And this brings us to grid parity. And this grid parity is very interesting for everyone who installs actually PV now on his own roof. Like, for example, my parents. So my parents have installed PV on their roof, and they have an output curve you see in the back, which is the yellow line, the yellow curve. So basically, the sun rises in the morning, they start their output of PV, and they hit the maximum peak at noon, and then when the sun sets, actually, basically, of course, there's no PV output anymore. The black line underneath is the electricity price curve, the electricity demand curve my parents have. And as now, actually the leverage cost of electricity from their own roof, from the solar system, from the solar power plant, is half the price of what they pay from the socket, from the grid. They want to maximize their own consumption now. So they want to consume as much as possible from their own roof. And only what they do not need from their own harvest or from their own generation of photovoltaic, they still export and sell to the grid at a feed-in tariff rate of 15 euro cents. If they buy kilowatt hours from the grid, they pay 29 euro cents. And so now if this price gap gets wider and wider and the cost for electricity from the grid gets actually up and the cost for solar goes down, they have plenty of options to think about different ways to use actually kilowatt hours of the photovoltaic system they do not use in real time. For example, at noon, if my parents are not at home, they still generate power, but they do not need it actually in real time. So what can they do? They can, of course, take this and store it for the evening. And this is the battery case companies like Sonnenbatterie are working now on. There's a lot of companies now in Germany entering the battery market, as actually now in Germany you have, with grid parity and very low system costs for solar, the very first market, which is also an economic market where you can really find a business case for batteries. But my parents have also different options. They could also make their demand curve for electricity actually steeper and higher once the sun is out and they're at home. Or even not at home, because they could have a smart home. They could have smart household devices. They could have a smart fridge, a smart dishwasher, a smart heat pump. So they could even make a bridge towards the heating sector with their PV power plant. And of course, they could also buy a Tesla, for example, and they could charge their car with that. So there's different options now. If you own a PV system, you do not feed 100% of your electricity back to the grid anymore. You really want to use the kilowatt hours by yourself. And this is opening up a lot of opportunities for new companies, for startups, for large corporates, to basically play with this kind of scenario and find business cases. Let's zoom out a little bit and see what kind of scenario we see on national level. If you look at this graph, this is a snapshot of electricity generation in Germany that was in June the 16th last year. It was a very sunny day. And you can see that back then we had 34 gigawatts of solar installed already. 34 gigawatts are running at full capacity on that day. And 34 gigawatts of solar is like 20 nuclear power plants being switched on in the morning and switched off in the evening when the sun is setting. So it's really a big amount of electricity, and this gives already today a big challenge to the grid. That day wasn't windy. Of course, in November, it might be a different scenario. You have a lot more blue and much less yellow actually on that graph. If you see now the numbers and the goal we have for the Energiewende, you can imagine that in the next 10, 20 years, we have much more actually of the photovoltaic and wind fluctuating electricity sources in our grid and much less base load. And that means we will have a lot of challenges for the grid to still run it stably. And for that we need new technologies. This could be actually storage, for example. This could be battery banks, large battery banks or small battery banks bundled together. This could also be powered to gas. So a lot of activities now being operated in Germany in power to gas, because there you can also close the gap to the heating sector as well as to the transportation sector, because you could also drive, of course, with this gas you produce. But there's other options. You can not only have you can not only change the supply side according to the demand side, you could also change the demand side according to the supply side. So you could also think about demand side management, not just on residential level, also on commercial and industrial level. And there we see also a lot of companies are looking at Germany and trying to find business cases in this scenario where you can really apply new innovation in the future. So we have to rebuild our energy infrastructure, as we have done with football. This is slightly more complicated maybe, and also, of course, much more important and much more interesting. And we will need the best ideas from the whole world to realize actually this project in Germany. And this is also why I would like to hand over now to Christina, because our role of Germany Trade and Invest is we want to attract companies from outside Germany to come to Germany to be part of that Energiewende. And Christina will explain you how this works. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Thomas, for your very nice presentation. Well, Germany Trade and Invest, who are we? Well, it is the official foreign trade and inward investment agency of Germany. And one of our major tasks is to assist foreign companies to establish business in Germany. We have 2 headquarters in Germany. Thomas and I, we are based in Berlin, but also 50 locations worldwide, including 1 office here in London. So, as you heard earlier, one of our major tasks is to assist and support foreign companies to find an opening to establish business in Germany. Our investment consultancy services are free of charge, and they include a lot of things. Well, we can give you a comprehensive market and industry analysis. You just had one very good example here, I think. We also provide you with project management support, where we assist with location proposals and site evaluations. We give you information about the tax and legal framework in Germany, about financing and incentive schemes, all possible relevant market data, and last but not least, we are in a unique position to assist you in establishing contact to very important local institutions, authorities, associations, etc. So our cross-section team, the so-called Investor Support Services team, this is the team which I represent here today. We add important information regarding tax, legal, and financial aspects to our projects. We have 2 sub-teams, financing and incentives, and tax and legal services. And our specialists work very closely together with our in-house industry teams. Well, just actually as in this joint presentation today, Thomas is the head of our Energy, Environment and Resources team, and well, quite a typical scenario, I would say. So, our financing and incentives team, we assist you in finding suitable financing solutions for your project. And in order to give you a better idea what kind of questions we really can answer, I have listed some of the most frequently asked questions here. In terms of incentives, the most common question is definitely what financial support does Germany actually offer to foreign investors? But we are also prepared to answer more specific questions. Are there special programs for startup companies or for R&D activities? And yes, we provide you with a lot of information of the overall application procedure as well. When it comes to finding financial partners, we can also assist you and provide you with contacts to German banks and other financial partners. And we also guide you on how to approach these partners. If you have a meeting with a large German bank, how you're supposed to deal with the documentation and prepare this, here we can help you and assist you with. Our tax and legal team, we assist you in understanding the sometimes not very easy tax and legal framework in Germany, but we do our best. So, in terms of incorporation, how should I set up a company? Do I need a specific license for the activities that I plan? In terms of taxes, we can actually tell you that there are local variations of the overall corporate income tax burden in Germany, and we also assist you in finding the most attractive locations. When you hire personnel, we can show what available employment models we have, and we also provide you with information about registration procedures, for instance, as with Social Security and tax authorities in Germany. So more specific and on a case basis, I would like to show what kind of input we can give. This is a common case scenario where a limited from the UK starts a small-scale production of batteries, and they also conduct related R&D activities. And they do it in the federal state of Brandenburg. Brandenburg is the state surrounding Berlin. This project has an R&D size of 250,000 euros, production-related investment of 2.5 million euros. The company is considered to be a small one since it has less than 50 employees. So the input which we given in this case, well, it resulted in R&D funding of 135,000 euros, which means a 45% grant through the so-called Central Innovation Program for SMEs, but also in a production setup funding of 1 million euros, equivalent to a 40% grant through the Joint Task Program. Well, as you can imagine, we do not only work with fictive companies. This is one of the companies which we've been assisting in the past, and Thomas...
Actually, one company, I'm very happy that Tavi will speak after us. Actually, I met an Ecosummit 3 years ago, I think, in Berlin, and we have been working together quite intensively when you were locating to Germany, to eastern part of Germany. And I think it's a good example of companies we also hope to get in touch with here on Ecosummit, on similar events, where we've tried to find companies who might be interested in Germany, and then we work with those companies, always free of charge actually, because basically our revenue is then employment, and together then find out if Germany might be an option for your new expansion strategy. And of course, you know, the topics we just described of the Energiewende is just one of many other potentials we see in the field of clean tech right now. We focus very much on electricity now. There's of course a bundle of opportunities in the field of EV, electric mobility, then also in the field of energy efficiency, which tends to be forgotten usually on presentations, and I include myself here. And there's just really a huge bundle of IT-based applications now we see, which will tap into this market. And we will be more than happy to work with you guys to find out if Germany might be an option for you. Thank you.
Do you have a question for these super people from Germany?
Hi, Simon Daniel from Moixa. With the penetration of wind and solar in Germany, what's your strategy if there's a large wind outage, or the Iceland volcano decides to dump lots of volcanic ash over, go up and reduce solar in Europe? And how is the issue of social inequality going in Germany, where people who don't have solar are paying extreme network costs for the infrastructure? And how will you fund, or who's building you new peak capacity to keep things powered during the winter? And so we see the sort of Germany is very interesting, because it's like where UK wants to go on our carbon pathways, but you've got negative prices, extreme volatility, risk of no merit pricing, collapse of the utility model, $500 billion lost in utilities in Central Europe in the last 8 years. And so we kind of, it used to be the kind of the optimal goal for UK. Now it's a future vision of what could go wrong in volatility, and how does that mess the market up? So I'm quite interested to know, particularly on the social aspect, what the non-solar homes think. Do they want the system privatised? How are you going to fund peak capacity with no solar and risk of wind?
I think it's a very good question. Of course, you know, so far we still have a lot of baseload power plants, which are, you know, the buffer for that. In the future, when we have really hit, the point where we have 80% wind and solar in the grid, this buffer will be, there will be another buffer added to that. The DENA just released a study, the German Energy Agency just released a study recently, I think today or yesterday. I just, saw it on my mobile phone. And that energy storage will play a very major role in the future in Germany. And this, energy storage means, a very broad bundle of technologies. This could be small-scale batteries, like Sonnenbatterie does now, really on residential level. There's Nextkraftwerke, for example, another company in Germany which bundles, a lot of small residential batteries to one big virtual power plant, which could serve as a buffer. There's other, battery banks. Just now being opened a project in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern in the eastern part of Germany, where a battery bank is basically taking part on the field of balancing power. So there's a lot of activities now already being started. And this is also, a preparational phase for exactly this moment where we really need energy storage in the future. And this moment will come. But it's not only energy storage, it's also, of course, the grid has to be smartened in a way. So there's a lot of investment also necessary in this field. Plus, we need a European integration. So Germany has the luck to be in the middle and the center of Europe. So we have a lot of adjoining countries. And we won't manage just as an island. So it's also very, very important to integrate with other countries.
All right. One more question. Final one. To keep on time.
You showed a tremendous increase in wind power and solar power, but actually you have nothing on biomass. Can you explain why?
Yeah, actually, the growth in biomass in the last years wasn't as strong as in wind and solar. Even now, I mean, there has been, an amendment of the EEG, the Renewable Energy Law in Germany, which basically defines the growth path for us also in the future, which is very much focusing on solar and wind, and not so much on biomass. And one strong reason is costs. It's basically much more competitive right now in Germany, as I understand from the studies also, to install wind power and solar power, as both are the most cheapest solutions right now in Germany.
All right. Thank you very much again to the team of Germany Trade and Invest. Thank you.
Thank you.